there's a proposed border adjustment tax. And would that border adjustment tax hurt everyday Americans? And when will the Trump tax plan be revealed, Dan?
To start with, let's break down what a border adjustment tax is. So that's a tax that's levied on imported goods. On the other side of it, exports are exempt. So you have these imported goods that are sold domestically, they're going to be subject to tax. So let's talk about an example of this. Let's go with a car manufacturer. So if you have tires that are produced in the United States that are sent to Mexico, those tires are not subject to tax on the way out. On the other side, if you have tires that are produced in Mexico that are sent to the United States for production in the United States, that would be subject to the border adjustment tax. And what's also interesting about it is the cost of those tires can't be deducted as a business expense. So the whole thrust of this is to de-incentivize corporations from offshore profits and motivate them to produce everything in the United States. Now, that's very patriotic, but the other side of it is it could cause inflation because you could have prices rising to the end users as a result. Interestingly, there's some major corporations that are very much against the border adjustment tax, and you also have members of both parties that aren't in favor of it. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But to your question as to whether the border adjustment tax could hurt everyday Americans, it is possible because we could see some rising of prices. Now, as far as the Trump tax plan goes, a couple of weeks ago, the president said that he was going to make an announcement in about 3 weeks related to his tax plan. And, of course, he said it was going to be really fantastic. Now, we haven't really heard much about that since, so it seems like we should be hearing something soon. Now, Steve Mnuchin, who's the new Secretary of the Treasury, just made reference this week that he is looking to have major tax reform done by August. Now, tax reform is not going to be easy, especially when you have the president and Congress, the Republicans in general, that are working on repealing and replacing Obamacare, because these two issues of tax reform and Obamacare are going to intersect. So unless this is really handled skillfully from a political standpoint, you could really have things getting jammed up with tax reform.